Would you believe that Zoomers earn more than millennials did at their age, but they still can't afford rent? How that even possible? I know you'll say, oh, this TikTok generation, they grew up on instant dopamine. While we played ball, they played Minecraft and Roblox. We touched grass, they touched glass.
Your hair looks very bouncy.
Zoomers grew up with the internet in their pocket, and they speak digital like a native language. They dragged massive corporations into TikTok before marketing managers could even draft a strategy. But they can't buy an apartment. They quit jobs without explanation, and 1 in 3 is in therapy. They're called lazy, entitled, a generation of quick dopamine hits, unable to focus longer than one video. Seems like degradation, right? But what if it's the opposite?
Gen Z isn't lazy, we just got handed the worst economy to start with. I can't stand when people are like, oh my god, Gen Z is so lazy, Gen Z doesn't want to work anymore, because that's just not true.
What happens when this broken generation collides with the broken system? How did they quietly rewrite everyday work? And are they really the unluckiest generation in the last 50 years? Or just the first one that refuses to play along? Today we are going to dig into that. So is this really a generation of quick dopamine hits, silly videos and zero attention span? Or are they new inventors, creators, the people who actually rebuild the world after this one is done? Buckle up for an interesting ride. To understand who Zoomers are, you can't just look at the birth year. You have to look at the operating system that ran their childhood. On paper, Generation Z is everyone born from 1997 to 2012. Seems simple, just people who arrived 15 years after millennials.
Gen Z really knows how to make me feel like I'm a dinosaur, like I'm ancient, like 27 is the new 50.
But the real difference isn't age, it's the reality they grew up in. According to research from University of Montreal, published in MDPI journal in 2024, 95% of Zoomers had access to a smartphone from early childhood. For them, mobile wasn't a cool gadget. It was the default way to see the world before school even started. Millennials experienced the internet as it developed. They dialed in, waited for pages to load, figured out how to use it. Zoomers were born inside it. A millennial at 10 gets their first computer and learns to type. Remember, a Zoomers at 3 is already swiping screens like it's a reflex. 2 generations, 2 different native languages. Zoomers became digital bilinguals. Per Squarespace and the Harris poll, 92% are online while eating, talking, studying. For them, online and real life are one reality. From the outside, it looks like chaos. You are probably thinking, yeah, scattered generation, zero focus, just hand them a phone and nothing else matters. Total degradation. Wrong. This isn't attention degradation, it's attention triage. Fast and effective. Zoomers don't read full articles, but they instantly grasp the point. Scroll, grab the key stuff, and move on. Not weakness, a survival skill in the digital world. They weren't just born later than millennials. They grew up in a different reality. And you know what? That difference made them indispensable to business. But how? What happened when old business hit full digitalization? By 2026, every company was clamoring for Instagram, for TikTok, for social media. If you're not there, you're losing. Question: who actually guided companies into this new media world? You'll probably say, well, marketers, SMM folks, and you'd be partly right. But dig deeper, it was Zoomers. They didn't learn from SMM specialists. It was just the opposite. Zoomers walked in and showed business how the internet actually works. Look at Duolingo on TikTok. Zoomers turned a cute green owl into a feral, viral mascot that threatens you for skipping lessons. Millions worldwide watch this little bird every day, while other brands still try to copy that success. Corporations used to think TikTok was a kid's playground. Zoomers proved it's the native language of a new generation and pushed business to speak it. But at the same time, employers complain that Zoomers don't want to work. They quit. They demand remote work. They refuse to have a routine. So what's the deal? Are they lazy or just refusing to work the old way? But what if the problem isn't Zoomers at all, but how work is structured? And why does the generation that brought millions to business not want to spend their life in an office anymore? This brings us to the most interesting part of the video. But first, a quick personal note. I make a video for this channel every week, and honestly, the growth could be better. What motivates me is literally seeing likes under each video. So I'm asking if you really enjoy this video. Hit like, leave comment, subscribe, it really supports me. My goal? To show the truth in this fast-changing world. Now let's continue. Remember 2008 crisis? Zoomers were kids. They watched their parents go to the office every day, sit there 8-9 hours, and do everything right. But for what? For stability. And what did they get? Crisis, layoffs, burnouts, stagnation. Zoomers saw it with their own eyes. Parents worked the old model for stability. Stability that turned out to be an illusion. So the question, why repeat a path that already ended in collapse? That's exactly why Zoomers don't want to repeat that path after 2008. And no, it's not laziness. It's generational trauma. They saw their parents burn out and drew conclusions. Now look at their choice. Zoomers want good money, but not traditional jobs. Sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? But no, they simply rethought what work means. So now over half of Zoomers earn income from multiple sources at once. Not one employer, but several streams. Parents chose stability and got crisis. Zoomers choose flexibility. And you know what else? Most are thinking about starting their own business. Call it ambition? Yes, but only partly. It's business not just for money, but for control and meaning. Zoomers work not for society, but for personal joy in creating. That's the twist. They value work-life balance more than their predecessors. Imagine this. You grow up watching mom or dad. They come home drained, exhausted, joyless, every day, for years. And in the end, an economic crisis wipes it all out. What lesson do you learn? Don't repeat that path, right? Zoomers value personal freedom and use it wisely, avoiding linear career paths. This isn't refusing work. It's rethinking its meaning. Not work less, but work differently. Not for a show, but for personal results.
I hate to break it to you, but Gen Z's totally smarter than the rest of us, career-wise, because Gen Z didn't just reject the corporate ladder, they shortened it. And they're doing it with something career researchers have talked about for years.
Zoomers are used to leaving jobs. If they don't see the point, they just value their time. But here's the paradox. Zoomers are the most ambitious in recent decades. They want their own thing, good money, freedom, and yet they're the most anxious generation. They have the highest demand for therapy and antidepressants, often because of unfulfilled ambitions. How so? They have ambition, yes, but there is something heavy with it. According to Harmony Healthcare's State of Gen Z Mental Health report for 2025, 47% of Zoomers often or constantly feel anxiety. 22% have depression. Every second one has already sought help. But what went wrong? Where does depression come from in the freest, most tech-savvy generation? The clearest answer shows up in one place: housing. Now a riddle. What would you choose if you were in a Zoomer's position? Buy a latte every day or save money for down payment on housing? Let's first see what millennials did. They entered the housing market in the 2000s and early 2010s. They could get a mortgage at reasonable rates without inflation before crisis. They have time to save for a down payment. Some of them bought multiple properties, rented them out, built capital. It worked for them. So what about Zoomers? Many millennials think it's easier for Zoomers to go and buy a latte or cappuccino than save money for their own housing. But is that true? Let's break it down. Zoomers are entering the market now, after housing prices multiplied, while salaries didn't. Research shows Zoomers can buy homes. Without income growth, they simply don't have enough money, even if they save for years. Here is a generational comparison at the same age. According to Fortune, at age 28, about 38.3% of Gen Z own housing. For Gen X at that age, it was over 42.5%. For Boomers, 44.4%. Zoomers start in conditions twice as tough, with prices doubled and wages stagnant. So the question, why save for a dream that you never reach? You set aside 10% of your salary every month. After a year, you have a sum, but prices went up more than you saved that year. You're further behind than when you started. Does it make sense to continue? Seems like no. So Zoomers grow up in a sharing economy, where people rent housing instead of buying. Not because they want to, but because it's only the real option. Millennials and generation before bought. Zoomers rent. Simple as that. Zoomers are pragmatists with market-level salaries. They know their worth. Look for training and growth in job postings. The rule changed. Millennial parents played one game and won. Zoomers play a different one. And their strategy must be different. But here is what's interesting. Despite all this, Zoomers are often best prepared for crisis. In the US, many Zoomers have savings. They track income and expenses carefully and do it even better than millennials at their age. It's a paradox. Can buy housing, but ready for crisis better than anyone. How? Because they grew up in instability, pandemic, climate threats, economic shocks. Zoomers became the most anxious generation because of crises and constant stress from global threats. High anxiety isn't weakness, it's a reaction to reality. That's exactly why there is high demand for therapy. Unfulfilled ambitions and reality hit hard. And it hurts. So what does it mean? Zoomers can buy a house, spend money on lattes, but are crisis ready and track finances. So are Zoomers a failed generation or actually the most adaptive in 50 years? Aren't Zoomers worse than millennials? No, they're just different. They came of age in the early internet era, a unique moment in history. No AI, none of the tools we take for granted now. Just internet, social media, and the first smartphones. Now imagine Generation Alpha, those born from 2013 to 2025. They're coming of age in the world of artificial intelligence, an even more radical shift. Zoomers grew up with YouTube. Alpha grows up with YouTube and ChatGPT. Completely different reality. By the way, if you want a video about Generation Alpha, how hard it is growing up now, and how AI hits their psyche, let me know in the comments. But for now, back to Zoomers. Here is what matters. They are incredibly effective at optimizing business digitalization, but weak at routine work. Sounds like a flaw, but no, two sides of the same coin. Their strength is in creativity and digital tools. Their weakness is in empty routine. You can be brilliant at SMM and simultaneously sit 8 hours on boring tasks. The brain works differently. Zoomers are tolerant and free from prejudice, thanks to the internet. They don't accept obvious injustice and manipulation. They value balance and personal freedom, not because they're selfish, but because they saw their parents burn out. Zoomers create new things, explore themselves and the world on purpose. Not degradation, evolution for a new environment. Zoomers aren't worse, they're different. And the world they're building, also different. Hit like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out other ones on the channel. Have lots of interesting content. See you in a week.